You've been lied to. Society tells you that happiness comes from wealth, status, or the approval of others. But the Stoics knew the truth. Real power comes from mastering yourself. Right now you're at war, not with the world, but with your own mind. Every frustration, every fear, every impulse that controls you, it's a sign that you're being ruled, not ruling yourself. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, understood this. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. But here's the problem. Most people never even try to take that power back. They drift, enslaved by emotions, shackled by desires, reacting instead of leading. What if you could break free? What if you could gain an unshakable mindset, immune to chaos, unstoppable in pursuit of what truly matters? These 12 Stoic principles will not just change how you think. They will forge you into someone people respect, someone who thrives under pressure, someone who cannot be broken. If you're ready to step into the mindset of the greatest thinkers and warriors of history, then let's begin. Number 1. Master your reactions. Control your mind, control your life. Look around you. The world is full of people controlled by their emotions, reacting in anger, drowning in anxiety, crumbling under stress. But here's a harsh truth. If you cannot control your emotions, then something else will. And that makes you a slave. Not to another person, but to your impulses, your fears, your ego. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world at his time, wrote in his journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What does that mean? It means that no matter what happens, your reaction is your choice. But most people never exercise that choice. They react on impulse, letting external events dictate their emotions. Think about the last time someone insulted you. Did you get angry? Feel hurt? Did it ruin your day? If so, that person didn't just insult you, they controlled you. Your mood, your peace of mind, your sense of self, handed over to someone else because of a few words. The Stoics would call this weakness. Why? Because the moment you let others dictate how you feel, you surrender your power. Seneca put it simply, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Most of our pain doesn't come from what actually happens, but from our interpretation of it. A delayed flight isn't suffering, it's an inconvenience. A breakup isn't the end of the world, it's a transition. Your emotions don't come from the event itself, they come from the story you tell yourself about that event. Change the story, and you change your experience. So how do you master your reactions? How do you take back control? First, pause before you react. The moment you feel anger, frustration, or fear rising, stop. Take a breath. This single second of awareness can prevent you from making a mistake you'll regret. Second, ask yourself, does this deserve my energy? Most of what upsets you today will mean nothing in a week, let alone a year. If something won't matter long-term, it's not worth losing your peace over. Third, see obstacles as training. The Stoics believed that every difficulty is a test, a chance to strengthen your mind. Someone insults you? It's a test of patience, a setback in your career, a test of resilience. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger. True power isn't controlling others, it's controlling yourself. And when you master your reactions, you become unshakable. The world may be chaotic, but you remain calm. Others may panic, but you think clearly. You don't react, you respond, and that changes everything. Because in the end, the person who controls their mind controls their life. Number 2, detach from outcomes. Focus on effort, not results. You've been conditioned to believe that success is measured by results, money, status, recognition. But here's the truth. You don't control results. You only control your actions. And the more you obsess over outcomes, the more you set yourself up for frustration, anxiety, and disappointment. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus, once a slave who rose to become one of the greatest philosophers of his time, said, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." In other words, your job is to do the work, to act with discipline, integrity, and effort. But whether you win or lose, that's beyond you. Think of a warrior going into battle. He can train for years, sharpen his sword, master his technique, but once the fight begins, fate takes over. A lucky strike from his enemy, a sudden change in weather, 1,000 unpredictable factors can determine victory or defeat. If his happiness depends on winning, he will live in constant fear. But if he focuses only on fighting with honor, giving everything he has, he remains unshaken, whether he wins or falls. This is the Stoic way, the athlete who plays for love of the game, not the trophy. The writer who creates because they must, not for applause. The leader who serves with conviction, not for validation. So how do you apply this? First, focus on process, not results. If you're building a business, don't obsess over making millions. Obsess over providing value. If you're training your body, don't chase a perfect physique. Commit to showing up every day no matter what. Second, accept that failure is part of the path. You will fail, many times. The Stoics remind us that this isn't a reason to stop. It's proof that you're growing. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Every setback is another rep in the gym of life. Third, find peace in effort itself. The moment you detach from outcomes, you become free. Free from fear of failure. Free from frustration. Free from chasing things outside your control. Ironically, this makes success even more likely, because you're focused, present, and unshaken by setbacks. A Stoic does not demand victory. He only demands that he fights well, and in that he finds ultimate freedom. Number 3, turn pain into power. Use adversity as fuel. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Life will throw hardships at you. Betrayal, failure, loss. Most people break under the weight of adversity. They complain, they give up, they drown in self-pity. But the Stoics saw pain differently. To them, pain was not a curse. It was fuel. Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled an empire while facing war, plague, and personal tragedy, wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, obstacles don't block the path. They are the path. Whatever challenges you, strengthens you, if you choose to see it that way. Look at history's greatest figures. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. Did he let that break him? No. He used that suffering to build unshakable resolve. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. Did he quit? No. He treated each failure as a lesson. The difference between those who rise and those who fall is not circumstance. It's mindset. So how do you transform pain into power? First, reframe suffering as training. When life tests you, see it as preparation. Every hardship is forging you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Second, ask, what can this teach me? The Stoics believed that even in the worst moments there is something to gain: wisdom, patience, endurance. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, how can I use this? Third, act despite the pain. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Your pain is sharpening you. Keep moving forward. Keep building. Let your suffering fuel your greatness. A weak man is destroyed by adversity. A Stoic uses it to rise. Which one will you choose? Number 4, silence the ego. Humility is strength. Ego is a silent killer. It blinds you to your flaws, traps you in arrogance, and makes you fragile in the face of criticism. It whispers lies, telling you that you already know enough, that you are above others, that you deserve success without effort. And that is why ego is the downfall of men. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus, who started life as a slave but became one of the greatest philosophers in history, warned, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." The moment you believe you've mastered something, you stop growing. The moment you think you are above failure, you invite disaster. History proves this again and again. Great empires collapse not from external threats, but from arrogance within. Powerful men destroy themselves when they believe they are untouchable. The moment you let ego take control, you stop improving. And when you stop improving, you start falling. So how do you silence the ego? First, seek wisdom, not validation. True strength comes from learning, questioning, and growing. The strongest minds are the ones that remain students forever. Second, embrace criticism. The Stoics believed that feedback, even harsh feedback, was a tool for growth. If someone insults you, don't react. Analyze. Is there truth in their words? If so, improve. If not, move on. Third, detach from titles and status. Who you are is not defined by your job, wealth, or reputation. Strip all of that away, and what remains? That is your true self. Focus on building that, not the illusion of success. A man ruled by ego is weak, easily offended, easily broken, easily led astray. A Stoic, however, stands firm. He seeks truth, values humility, and never stops improving. Number 5, embrace discomfort. Growth lies beyond comfort. Comfort is a slow poison. It weakens the body, dulls the mind, and kills ambition. The more you seek ease, the more you shrink from challenge. And the moment you stop challenging yourself, you stop growing. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca warned, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." They believed that true strength comes not from avoiding hardship, but from embracing it, choosing discomfort, training resilience, and pushing past limits. Look at history's greatest figures. Every warrior, every leader, every philosopher who shaped the world did so by stepping into discomfort. Marcus Aurelius ruled through war and plague. Epictetus endured slavery and exile. They didn't just survive hardship, they used it to forge themselves into something greater. So how do you embrace discomfort? First, seek out challenges. If something scares you, face it. If something is difficult, do it. Growth happens in struggle, not in ease. Second, train voluntary hardship. The Stoics practiced discomfort, fasting, cold exposure, physical exertion, to build discipline. If you can endure hardship by choice, you become unshakable when real challenges come. Third, reframe struggle as progress. Every difficult moment is a test, a lesson, an opportunity. The pain of today is the strength of tomorrow, if you let it be. A comfortable life makes a weak mind. A hard life, embraced willingly, forges an unbreakable will. Number 6, own your time. Stop wasting it on what doesn't matter. Time is your most valuable asset. Unlike money, once it's spent, you can never earn it back. Yet most people throw it away, scrolling mindlessly, chasing distractions, indulging in trivial pleasures that add nothing to their lives. Seneca issued a brutal warning. You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire. In other words, you waste time as if you have an endless supply, but you don't. Every wasted hour is an hour stolen from your potential. Look at your daily life. How much of it is spent on things that truly matter? How much of it is dictated by other people's demands, by meaningless entertainment, by mindless habits? The Stoics believed that if you don't control your time, something else will. And that means you will never be free. So how do you own your time? First, audit your life. Track how you spend your hours. Cut out what drains you, amplify what builds you. Second, set non-negotiable priorities. Decide what truly matters, your growth, your health, your purpose, and structure your time around it. Third, learn to say no. Every yes to something meaningless is a no to something important. Guard your time as if your life depends on it, because it does. A man who controls his time controls his destiny. A man who wastes it dies full of regret. Number 7, fear nothing, the art of mental fortitude. Fear is the greatest prison. It stops you from taking action, from speaking your truth, from becoming who you are meant to be. Most people live as slaves to fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. But here's the truth. Fear only has power if you submit to it. The Stoics saw fear for what it truly is, an illusion. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Fear is not in the event itself, but in your perception of it. The warrior who charges into battle, the speaker who steps onto the stage, the entrepreneur who risks everything, none of them are fearless. They simply refuse to let fear dictate their actions. So how do you develop unshakable mental fortitude? First, Confront your fears head on. The things you avoid control you. The more you face discomfort, the more fearless you become. Second, reframe fear as a guide. The Stoics believed that fear points you toward growth. Whatever scares you most is often the exact thing you need to do. Third, accept that death is inevitable. Seneca said, "He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a living man." Once you stop fearing the end, you start truly living. A life ruled by fear is a life half-lived. A Stoic feels fear but acts anyway. That is true power. Number 8, speak less, do more, let actions define you. Words are cheap. Promises are easy. Intentions mean nothing. In the end, you are only as strong as what you do. Most people talk endlessly about their goals, their dreams, their plans, but never take real action. They seek validation before effort. They confuse words for progress. But the Stoics knew better. Epictetus warned, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." True strength is not in what you say, it's in how you live. Look at history's greatest figures. The strongest leaders, the most respected warriors, the wisest thinkers. They didn't waste time boasting or justifying themselves. They acted. They built. They proved themselves through results, not rhetoric. So how do you embody this principle? First, stop announcing your plans. Talking about your goals drains the energy needed to achieve them. Work in silence. Let success be your voice. Second, prioritize execution over excuses. The Stoics had no patience for delay. If something matters, do it. Now. Thinking about it won't get it done. Third, let your reputation speak for itself. If you are disciplined, people will see it. If you are honorable, people will know. You don't need to tell them. Your actions will say everything. A man who talks much and does little is weak. A man who speaks through his actions is unstoppable. Number 9, live with integrity. Be unshakable in your values. In a world full of compromise, integrity is rare. People bend their values for approval, betray their principles for success, and change who they are to fit in. But the Stoics saw this for what it is: weakness. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. Your integrity is the foundation of your strength. If you betray it, you have nothing. If you hold to it, you become unshakable. History remembers those who stood firm. Socrates chose death over abandoning his principles. Cato, Rome's fiercest Stoic, refused to submit to tyranny, even when it cost him his life. True power doesn't come from wealth, status, or reputation. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you will not break. So how do you live with unshakable integrity? First, define your core values. What do you stand for? What will you never compromise on? Make these principles the foundation of your life. Second, act according to your values, not convenience. It's easy to do the right thing when there's no cost. The real test is when it's difficult. Third, seek respect, not approval. Integrity means standing alone if necessary. It means choosing what is right over what is easy. The world may not always reward you, but you will walk with strength, dignity, and peace. A man without integrity is nothing. A Stoic with integrity is untouchable. Number 10, accept what is. Resistance creates suffering. Most suffering is self-inflicted, not by what happens to us, but by our refusal to accept it. We resist reality. We wish things were different. We dwell on the unfair, the painful, the uncontrollable. But this resistance doesn't change reality. It only deepens our suffering. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You can't control the world. You can't control other people, but you can control your perception, your response, your attitude. And that is where true freedom lies. Consider the strongest minds in history. Nelson Mandela endured decades in prison without losing his spirit. Viktor Frankl survived the horrors of concentration camps by accepting what he couldn't change and focusing only on what he could, his own mind. Their power came not from resistance but from acceptance. So how do you master this? First, let go of attachment to outcomes. Expectations create suffering. Accept what is and focus on your effort, not the result. Second, reframe challenges as lessons. Everything you face, good or bad, is an opportunity for growth. Third, respond. Don't react. When faced with difficulty, pause. Breathe. Choose your response. This is the essence of Stoic power. A man who resists reality is a prisoner of his own mind. A Stoic who accepts what is becomes untouchable. Number 11. The present moment is everything. Stop living in the past or future. Most people exist everywhere except where life actually happens. The present moment. They dwell on past regrets, replaying mistakes they can't change. Or they live in the future, worrying about problems that haven't happened yet. But both are illusions. The only reality is now. Marcus Aurelius put it bluntly: confine yourself to the present. Nothing else is in your control. The past is gone. It exists only in your mind. The future is uncertain. You cannot predict it. The Stoics believed that true peace, true power, and true happiness could only be found by mastering this moment and nothing more. Think of the greatest warriors, thinkers, and leaders. They weren't lost in thought. They were fully engaged, fully present, fully alive. When a Spartan stood in battle, he wasn't thinking about yesterday's training or tomorrow's fight. He was focused on now. When Seneca wrote his letters, he wasn't lost in regret or anticipation. He was immersed in the act itself. So how do you master the present? First, train your focus. Whatever you are doing, do it fully. Whether it's working, speaking, or even eating, be where you are. Second, kill distractions. Scrolling, multitasking, overthinking, these pull you away from reality. The more you eliminate them, the clearer your mind becomes. Third, embrace each moment as enough. The Stoics believed that every moment is complete in itself. You need nothing more than what is here, right now. A mind lost in the past is chained by regret. A mind obsessed with the future is consumed by fear. But a Stoic who masters the present moment, he is truly free. Number 12. Walk the harder path. Greatness requires discipline. Weak men seek ease. Strong men seek challenge. The difference between mediocrity and greatness is simple: discipline. The Stoics knew that the easy path leads nowhere. Seneca warned, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. If you avoid struggle, you avoid growth. If you choose comfort, you choose weakness." The path to greatness is not given. It is earned step by step through relentless discipline. Look at any great figure in history. Marcus Aurelius didn't become Rome's greatest emperor by indulging in luxury. He lived with discipline, training his mind and body daily. Epictetus, once a slave, became one of history's greatest philosophers, not by complaining but by mastering himself. True power is never handed to you. It is forged in the fires of hardship, repetition, and self-control. So how do you walk the harder path? First, do what is difficult. If it's uncomfortable, lean into it. If it's challenging, embrace it. Growth only happens in struggle. Second, master your impulses. The Stoics rejected instant gratification. Control your desires, control your emotions, control yourself. Third, commit to daily discipline. Success isn't built on motivation, it's built on habits. Show up every day, no matter what. A man who chooses comfort is destined for mediocrity. A Stoic who chooses discipline is destined for greatness. The path to greatness is not found in comfort, nor in empty words, nor in fear. It is found in discipline, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of self-mastery. The Stoics understood this. Life is not about what happens to you, it's about how you respond. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Every moment is a choice. You can waste time, chase distractions, and live in fear. Or you can own your time, master yourself, and walk the harder path, the path of true power. Now the choice is yours. If this video resonated with you, like it to help spread these timeless lessons. Comment below. Which Stoic principle do you struggle with the most? And how are you working to improve it? Your insights may inspire others.